UFC 298 is officially over. Ilia Topuria is now your new UFC Featherweight Champion. He defeated Alexander Volkanovski in the second round by knockout, a brutal knockout. And I wanted to make this video because I've been seeing a ton of people talk about what's next for Ilia Topuria and what do you do with Alexander Volkanovski. And I touched on this a little bit in my instant reaction video to UFC 298, but I really wanted to dive deep into this discussion because I don't want to see Alexander Volkanovski fall off a cliff, but we need to talk about it. What is next for Ilia Topuria and Alexander Volkanovski? A lot of people think they should rematch, and not only do I think this is a stupid idea, and I feel like if you want to ruin Alexander Volkanovski's career or have him look like Luke Rockhold or Anderson Silva or Tony Ferguson, like the list goes on, then yeah, give him Ilia Topuria again and let him be finished 3 times in a row, right? But if you want to save Alexander Volkanovski, you cannot give him a rematch to Ilia Topuria. I think what you do in this situation is you let Ilia Topuria either fight the winner between Yair Rodriguez and Brian Ortega, which is reasonable, right? It gives us a fresh new matchup. We don't have to see another rematch. And it gives Alexander Volkanovski time to really heal up, take time away, figure out if he wants to go to lightweight, full time or stick in the featherweight division. And it helps clear out, a pathway in the featherweight division. I think what they should do, if I was the UFC president, if I was in Dana White's position, this is what needs to happen. You give Ilia Topuria the winner of Yair or Brian Ortega or Movsar Evloev, right? You give them one of them, and then you let Alexander Volkanovski either fight at lightweight and have him stay there, let him fight someone like a Beneil Dariush or a Dustin Poirier or a Nate Diaz, right? Let him have a fun fight at lightweight and then work his way up to the title, right? Because he's lost 2 straight times to Islam. Or what you do is, and MMA Guru made a pretty good point about this, give Movsar Evloev to Volkanovski, right? Put it at the end of the year, let them fight, and then if Alexander Volkanovski beats Movsar Evloev, then let him go back to the title shot after Topuria and the winner of Yair and Brian Ortega fight. It's perfect. I truly believe if Volkanovski is given the rematch to Ilia Topuria, not only is Alexander Volkanovski going to get knocked out again and for the 3rd straight time, but it will be a serious decline in his career, and it will probably ruin his legacy. You start to see these champions have these amazing runs, and then they just fall off a cliff and you forget about them. A great example of this is Tyron Woodley. Tyron Woodley was an amazing welterweight champion, did great things. Then right after that Kamaru Usman loss, he just went downhill. Couldn't ever get back into the title picture, wasn't really ever relevant. And you can make that same argument with Anderson Silva. You can make that same argument with Dominic Cruz. I mean, you just see these great champions, these great fighters. They have their moments. They're at the highest of the highs. And then right when they lose, instead of making a smart decision, take some time off or fight a lower ranked guy and try and build his way back up, they are so eager to get back to that championship spot that they're not ready for. And they either get brutally knocked out again or they lose in a terrible decision loss, and then nobody wants to ever see them ever again in the title picture. And this is what my problem comes with. If we see Volkanovski and Topuria again in a rematch at the featherweight, it will be the last time ever Volkanovski will ever be in a title shot. Because if he does lose in the featherweight title rematch again, there's absolutely no way he fights in another title shot, especially at featherweight, and I doubt even lightweight. Because even at that time, the lightweight division is going to be going through contenders. You'll have Charles Oliveira, Arman, you'll have upcoming guys like Gamrot or Benoit Saint-Denis. You'll have these fighters come in, and Volkanovski won't get his title shot at lightweight. It will just be too much going on. I truly believe if Volkanovski rematches with Topuria, it will be the end of him. And we shouldn't let this happen. And who wouldn't want to see some new faces in the featherweight division? I love Volkanovski. I love Max Holloway. But they cleared out this division where the only good matchups right now that you want to see are fresh matchups with Topuria. We've already seen Max Holloway, Yair, Alexander Volkanovski, Yair, Max Holloway, Brian Ortega, Max Holloway, and Volkanovski. We've seen all these matchups, and the freshest matchup right now is Ilia Topuria and the winner of Yair and Brian Ortega, or Ilia Topuria and Movsar Evloev. That's the only fresh matchup we have. And maybe the winner of Calvin Kattar and Aljamain Sterling could make a surprise visit to the title picture, whoever wins that, right, to give Topuria a challenge. But nobody wants to see a rematch with Volkanovski and Topuria. Nobody wants to see that. And the people that are begging for a rematch for Volkanovski and Topuria are the people that are hardcore fans about Volkanovski. And I'm a hardcore fan about Volkanovski. I love him. But they don't want to admit that his time has come to an end. And they don't want to admit that he will actually lose again by knockout. People have this false idea that, oh, if you give Volkanovski more time and he has a longer camp, that he'll put up a different challenge for Topuria. And that could be true. He could put up a different challenge, but the end result will still be the same. He will lose by knockout. I was wrong about Topuria in the beginning. I just thought, man, he's over his head. He's fought some good competition, but Volkanovski's that guy. But once you see that second knockout happen, especially where Volk he's out. He's gone. His eyes were open and he was out cold. There's a sense of reality that comes into every fan where you're just like, yeah, this is the end. We saw it in Tony Ferguson when he got brutally beat up after Justin Gaethje, where we all thought this is probably the end. I do think Volkanovski could make maybe a run at featherweight again, but I think if I was the president of the UFC, I would tell Volk, listen, man, if you go to lightweight, you'll fight the winner of Benoit Saint-Denis and Dustin Poirier, and that will guarantee you a title shot. Or be like, hey, Volk, whoever loses between Arman and Charles, if you fight them, that will help you in the title picture against another title shot, maybe against Islam Makhachev. I truly believe if Volkanovski fights again against Topuria, he won't ever come back. And I'm tired of seeing people saying we need to see the rematch. There's nothing we'll learn from the rematch. There's nothing that we need to see again. We don't need to see Volk get knocked out again for us to understand Topuria has legit power. For us to understand Topuria is 27 years of age and he's phenomenal, and he's probably the next GOAT in the featherweight division. We don't need to see this anymore. We don't need to see the rematch. Let's see fresh matchups. We don't want to see Sean O'Malley and Ilia Topuria right now. Let Sean O'Malley fight Merab and then Corey Sandhagen, and then let him fight Ilia Topuria. I swear to God, if Sean O'Malley fights Merab and then immediately gets a title shot against Topuria, it's going to piss me off. This is how you ruin like the divisions, and you have this stalemate where it's just constant rematches at the title shot. Like, we need fresh matchups, and the only way for this to happen is for Volkanovski to either move up to lightweight and make a run at the title there, or let Volkanovski fight Evloev, or let him have some time and have Topuria fight these new matchups. Let Sean O'Malley fight in his division, and then we could let things play out in a year or two, but not right now. This is my final thought on Topuria and Volkanovski. A little bit of a rant of why I do not think Volkanovski needs to fight Ilia Topuria. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. See you in the next video.